Hey folks, so this is going to be an update on the Burning Arrow Chieftain character that I've been playing since Friday. It is basically at its final stage in how I want the character to be. I'll show you guys a quick map run real fast, and then I'll go over all the changes I've made and how I kind of feel the character is going at the moment. But first, let's run a map. So mapping with this character is really nice. It's incredibly smooth because all you have to do is basically click once, so the doorway doesn't block your arrows, and most things will die. I do not run Pierce, I just run GMP. It seems to be just enough to do everything I need it to, and the Ignite Prolift will basically take care of everything else. Because there's no wind-up time on the Ignite like there might be with something like Explosive Arrow, it's very nice to use and quite smooth as a mechanic, but I will say that there are some downsides to the build in certain conditions. So one of those conditions is that if there is a lot of mobs on the screen and you need to hit something behind it, let's say an invulnerability totem or something like that, because of not having Pierce, that of course is a lot trickier. Another one that I've run into is on map mods. The one map mod I cannot run is avoid ignite damage. That one is really hard to do. So there's the 60% avoid and the 90% avoid. Both are basically no-goes. Reflect, of course, is a no-go because I do fire damage at the initial impact. So I cannot run reflect maps. And then as a result of me being mostly regen based, I also have a little bit of difficulty running things like no regen. But other than those three map mods that pop up every now and then, or if you corrupt the map will pop up when you don't want them to, there's really not too much you can't run. But there you see one of the main problems with the build currently, is that right now, even though I have 7200 HP and a good amount of damage, my single target is somewhere in the millions, I just can't seem to stop myself from getting one shot in some situations. I know that wasn't a one shot, but you'll see it a lot more with something like Metamorphs, where no matter what you try to do, you just cannot live through the insanity that their hits can do. It will take you from 7,000 to 0 in one attack, and usually it's an off-screen attack that you have really no counterplay against. So I've been trying everything I can to kind of come up with more defenses for this build. I've switched over to endurance charges and a lot more mitigation that way. I've tried to do more life, I've tried to do different flask setups, I've tried to do basically everything I could think of to make it more tanky. And no matter what I've tried, it all kind of boils down to you're just gonna get one shot sometimes, and there's really nothing you can do about it in this league. And I really hate the fact that that's the way it is, but without investing enough currency into the build where you literally one-shot every mob in like one click, which would be another like 20 Exalt investment, I cannot say definitively that I can come up with any way that this build wouldn't be dying less than it currently is. The DPS on bosses is really nice because all you have to do is, like I did there, just click a couple times and you'll be good to go. The DPS on Metamorphs is fine. I've yet to run into one where I can't kill it. Like, I've never been out-regened by a Metamorph. I've done the Guardians up until Awakener. I've tried Awakener on this build. The Guardians were fairly simple. I really didn't have any problems with any of them besides the one that makes the flags, and now that the flags have been nerfed, I think it'd be fine as well. But, oh, I'm gonna die here. And this is kind of the problem. I cannot get my defenses to a level where this stuff doesn't just insta-kill me in some maps. The moment the mobs spawn, I'll be fine. I say that, but I'm on a Beyond map, so maybe not. So it really is a lot of kind of weird counterplay that you constantly have to do. And you will constantly keep getting hit by things that take you down to basically almost dying. But as you can see, even with a pretty beefy Metamorph here, I am able to, well, if I can hit it, do damage to it, constantly keep its health going down. And like I said, I've yet to see anything that could out-regen me, but I've definitely seen stuff that can one-shot me. But I wanted to kind of show the reality of the build and keep in death. Whoa, level 3 enhance. Okay, cool. Keep in the deaths and stuff like that in this run because that is the reality of the current version of this game, of Metamorph in general. There are just situations where you will get one shot. That's insane. I can't believe I got a random level 3 enhance. And I wish I could say that there is a solution for that, but I have yet to be able to find one. So the character currently is, like I said, level 91, and we have spec'd a little differently from what I had in the tree originally. This side is all the same. I'm anointing Spirit Void because it gives me a little bit more mana recovery. I have, instead of doing what I was planning to do, which was grab Cleansing Waters and Moon's Presence, and then go down to Death's Fury. And then when I get gear, go up to Storm's Embrace. I went up here, I spent like 40 regrets redoing my tree so that I had the endurance charges, everything I needed. And in doing so, I still got one shot. So I had 7k of HP, 50% physical mitigation, over the top max resistances. I was down here with Soul Steel and all that stuff, and I would still get one shot off screen. So I decided to not go that route and just went full on damage. So I grabbed the totem, I grabbed Flame's Advance, and just went full damage. And it works really well, except, you still get one shot. So it's kind of a weird feeling at the moment. I have spec'd myself into Elemental Equilibrium. I know in the tree I originally had a Malachi's Artifice here. The problem was the Golem just wasn't living. There was no way to keep the Golem alive in some fights, and then on fights like, let's say, the Ice Guardian, where she keeps swooping up and down, the Golem never really got any hits in, so I ended up removing that and going EE myself. All that means is I had to drop a Stormbrand on enemies, and everything works just fine. For the rest of it, Tempered Mind is my accuracy now. Because I was already here, I could just go 3 points in, get my Tempered Mind here, and that gave me a lot more freedom with my gear. And then other than that, I think most of this looks pretty identical to how the tree is. I got all the jewel sockets because those are a massive amount of your DPS and your life, so you really want a lot of jewel sockets on this build. And as far as the gearing goes, it's pretty much the same. Zoph's Nurture, of course, is still the strongest thing you can have. I think maybe you can craft a little bit higher of a bow, but it's going to be difficult. Zoph's is just really powerful. Home's Heart, really powerful, good thing. The only problem with it is, once again, no sockets. So if you were to switch to a chest with sockets, you might have a little bit better of a time, and you could do more defensive setups in there. Signal Fire, just all around best in slot. You can try to craft something that's better than it. There are ways to get something better than it, but the problem is that even those cost like 10 to 20 Exalt. So Signal Fire is like 10C. Buy it, it's good. Boots, try res, movement speed, max life. It's going to be your best bet. You're not going to beat them. That's about all there is to that. Belt is still Dwidian Dawn. The benefit nowadays is you can actually buff that ignites deal faster by using either Abrasive or the one that does Elemental, which is Turbulent. Turbulent or Abrasive will both buff this thing so that it's 42 instead of 35. Really, really powerful. 100%. You need to get it if you're going to be building ignites. I'm using a Starconges instead of Devotos because it's max life, attack speed, and dex, which are the three things I really, really needed. And crit is okay because it makes it a little bit easier to proc Elemental Overload. Whoops, wrong one. There we go. So Devotos I dropped, kept that, more max life. The rings are basically exactly what I said in the video. They're accuracy, max life, and a little bit of damage where I can get it. If I can't get it damage, I just need the resistances. Just went that route. Really effective, no worries there. The two things that are really different on the build now than they were in the build guide is one, my gloves are just pure damage. Because I have Tempered Mind and I don't have to worry about accuracy, I was able to drop my gloves accuracy rating and then just go pure damage. These are kind of just insane gloves with nothing but damage, 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 damage. I rolled them using Scorch Fossils. Got really lucky with those, and I really, really like it. So those are awesome. And then the other thing that I changed was the Warlord inspired amulets can roll Anger has reduced reservation. So if you roll that on your gear, you can then run Anger and Malevolence without having to worry about picking up reduced reserves. And I'm not even running a... Oh, actually, I'm running an Enlightened too. But, you know, it's still enough mana. It's 106 mana. No problem there. So this is a really powerful node, or really powerful modifier for Anger. Other than that, I am running an Awakened Burning because I wanted to see if I can get more damage, but it's so expensive, I don't recommend it. It's like 2 Exile right now for one of these. I just picked it up to test it out, and it takes forever to level. Not really something you should be looking forward to in the tree. Just keep it as a normal burning damage, you'll be fine. Flask-wise, we're running exactly what I said in the video. And yeah, so I would say that the build is really good for general mapping, but defensively you're still going to fall short in a lot of areas if, you know, you run minus max or elemental weakness and your curse is up, or you're hitting a Metamorph that one-shots you off screen. There's a lot of ways you're going to die on this build, but I've been able to basically use the build to hyper farm and get just ridiculous amounts of currency because you can do maps really quickly. I wonder if I can see how... I forgot where it is, but there's like a thing, right? That tells you. So I've done 356 maps on this guy, and I've died 119 times. Now, 6 of those are to an Awakener, and a lot of them is just me goofing about with Metamorphs. But it's kind of brutal right now on what the current state of the game is and what it's putting in front of the player. So would I recommend the build as a starter? Still, yes, I would, but I would not say that it is the be-all end game of the league where you can just go and do all the content, no problem at all. It's in a tough spot right now. It's at the point where I'm probably going to liquidate the gear on it, sell it, and then go make some other kind of character. I don't know what yet. Just because I want to kind of have a reference point for a higher tier character and see how that feels. Bam. Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of hard right now to see what's going on with the character, and I'd love to give you a definitive statement of like, you should play this. If you want a good mapping, if you want the play style of Ignite, and you want to just run around one-clicking packs and having them die, I would recommend it. If you're thinking of taking this to like high-end Metamorphs, not having to die and having no frustrations, I don't recommend it. So that's about where the video has to end, because I don't know what else to say about it. But it's fun, I think. Meh. On to the next one.